Welcome back to the final days. Today is September 10th, 2021. Today we will be viewing some FAA video of some very large, fast-rotating celestial objects that are very close to our Earth. And also I'll be discussing a very detailed encounter that I had with an angel a couple years ago. Most of these images are from last month. This one's from February, captured by the south-facing FAA weather camera in Edna Bay, Alaska. This video shows a red celestial object with a gaping hole. And if we add some contrast, it makes the fast rotation of this object very obvious. We've seen this thing before in previous videos, but these images show the texture and the rotation really well. I always play the footage exactly as it came from the camera first, and then I replay it with contrast added and sometimes close-up to bring out the details of these celestial objects. I don't have names or labels for any of these things, but I can tell you that these are signs that we are living in the very last days according to the Holy Bible. In the Bible's book of Luke, chapter 21, verse 25, Jesus tells us that we will see signs in the sky when the end of the age is near. I'll just let the rest of these pictures play out while I tell you about something that happened a couple years ago. In this world full of distractions, it's easy for some people to forget, maybe even most of us to forget, that there is a spiritual realm all around us. Psalms 34:7 tells us that angels of the Lord surround and defend all who are faithful to the Lord. I found this to be very true the summer before the virus came. I had towed my 23-foot camper to Kentucky, and a lady friend from church came along and we brought my little dog. We left the camper at a beautiful campground in Kentucky while we went sightseeing at a nearby state park, just about 6 miles away. My pickup truck started screeching, banging, and clanking on one of the state park roads. I pulled off the road and stopped. We had stopped for only about a minute, and a golf cart came and parked in front of my truck. Excuse my bad artwork here. A man got out of the golf cart, and he walked up to the passenger window, which was rolled down, and he rested his arm on the car door inside the window. We assumed he was a park employee because he was dressed in a state park uniform and he had a name tag that said Jim. My dog, who normally doesn't like strangers, immediately started wagging his tail, and he walked over my friend's lap to lick Jim's arm. Now this was very, very strange for my dog to do. This is something he doesn't do. Jim told us he could hear the truck making noise. So he went over and raised the hood of the truck and he looked at the engine for a minute. Then he slid underneath the truck and he looked further. We got out of the truck while Jim drove my truck around the park so that he could hear better what was going on. I turned to my friend and I asked her if she noticed his eyes, which were unusually bright, and she said yes, that she did notice his eyes, and other than that he just looked like a typical 60-year-old man, or 60-some years old. In a couple minutes, Jim returned in my truck. Strangely, it wasn't making any noises at all. He got out and he handed me a piece of paper with the name and address of an automotive repair shop only 3 miles from our campground. he told us that the truck would work well enough to make it to that repair shop. He then got into the golf cart and he proceeded down the road. He turned left on the path of these dashed lines. We assumed there must have been a road to the left where he had turned onto. But as we got into the truck and drove off, we drove down the road and we passed where Jim had just turned left. Well, there were only trees and there was no road that a golf cart could have traveled on. And as we passed by those woods, it was obvious that no golf cart could have driven through those thick woods. But we did not see the golf cart at all. We saw no signs of it. Well, several days later, after my truck had gotten repaired, we came back to the state park to thank Jim. We drove to the camp host residence where Jim's golf cart was parked. I went up and I knocked on the door. A different man came to the door. I asked the man where Jim was, and he said, "Jim who?" And I said, "Well, Jim, the man that drives this golf cart." The man then advised me that there was no employee at the park named Jim. I got back in my truck and I told my friend what the camp host had just told me. Jim was an angel of God, sent to help us in a time of need. I've had several other encounters with angels of our Lord, but I'll save those for another video in order to keep this one as short as possible. These next few screens will tell you how to accept Christ into your life. Simply pause the screens if you need more time to read the text.